Sometimes, while drawing my creative works, I come up with various stories reflect what is depicted. I hope this will bring you enjoyment. The sharpened claws of the desert rocks stretch into the sky. For thousands of years, they were shaped by the winds, turning from raw porous material into these elegant sculptures that are scattered by tens of thousands across the endless space of this biome. An interesting fact: such claws are never found alone or even in pairs. Usually they live in families, several large ones and several small ones. Of course, this is somehow connected with the features of the landscape and atmospheric influence, but the locals give it a more mystical meaning. When people talk about the desert claws, they usually say the word leaf. At a certain time of the year, when the winds of the upper islands arrive, you can hear their singing. The wind wanders through the pores of the texture, and a melodic whistle appears, in which sometimes you can hear quiet harmonic melodies. This harmony of sound could never be explained scientifically. Arau understood the geo-atmospheric interaction in this region very well. He studied it for more than 15 years, Earth years. He knew everything about this desert, but the singing of the clouds during the wind season still gave him a strange feelings of anxiety. Maybe the locals are really right, maybe this is not just stone shaped by seasonal winds. Maybe there is something here beyond rational, scientific explanation. Nevertheless, the solar peak was approaching, and he needed to hide in the shade. And it just happened that these carved megaliths had it. So, today I will sleep under the music of the desert, Arak said to himself, hunching slightly, and moved toward the claws. He needed to hurry. The local sun at its peak spares no one. The nearest settlement was still 2 days away. Arak didn't plan to stop by the claws, but unexpected circumstances forced him to give in to his superstitions. I can't believe I lost my ultraviolet shield in such a stupid way. 15 years wandering here, and now I relaxed for 1 minute and that's it. In these deserts, our confidence is like a knife blade at your neck, and the desert will use it at the first chance. Like a child, by God, Arak continued to blame himself in his thoughts. He really didn't want to spend the day by the claws, and he hated himself for his irrational fear. The ultraviolet shield was a high-tech device that filtered the dangerous radiation of the local sun analog. The device looked like a hooded cloak and didn't differ from local clothing. But at the nano level, its fibers were a high-tech material, had temperature regulation properties. But first of all, it was protection from aggressive radiation. He really did lose the shield in a stupid way. During his journey, he noticed what seemed to him to be abnormal behavior of a representative of the local fauna. It was a keisk, a creature similar to a scolopendra that usually lived deep under the sand. It was up to a meter long and came to the surface only during the solar peak to receive radiation. Ultraviolet light was like an energy source for it, but this time Arak noticed it at dusk. The keisk appeared right from under his feet and quickly ran with thousands of small legs toward an embryo. That was a name for a cluster of relatively young stone structures that hadn't yet turned into claws. There the creature crawled into a spiral and began to vibrate rhythmically. Of course, Arak as born scientist couldn't ignore such behavior and went toward the embryo to study this phenomena. He was so impressed by the behavior of the keisk that in the dusk they simply didn't notice a small change in the shade of the sand surface near the islands of stones. When he stepped on this surface, his legs instantly sank into quicksand. His body slowly went down into the waist and got stuck completely. Arak struggled in panic for several hours until he became exhausted. He calmed himself by noticing that he was not thinking deeper. Then he noticed that the creature had kept the front part of its body directed toward him the whole time. It seemed to Arak that it had been watching him all this time. He tried to push these strange thoughts away. So, the plan is this. The solar peak is approaching, which means I will just cover myself with the shield, restore my strength and try to climb out again. Arak woke up unexpectedly. With a sudden movement he realized that his legs were completely free, and the surface of the sand under his body had normal density. There were no traces of quicksand, no trace of the shield clock, no trace of keisk.